Hey everyone, RJ here, and this week on Birds of a Feather Talk Together, we're diving into one of the rarest and most extraordinary birds on Earth, the spoon-billed sandpiper. If you've seen our YouTube video where John compared a roseate spoonbill at the Field Museum to this tiny, delicate spoon-billed sandpiper specimen, then you already know we love a good convergence story. Two totally unrelated birds, both evolving their own version of a spoon for a beak. Nature is wild. Today we're taking you deeper into the life, struggles, and sheer wonder of this remarkable species, how it lives, why it's so rare, and what makes it so special. Join married couple John Bates and Shannon Hackett, curators of birds at the Field Museum, and myself, RJ, and my wife Amanda, as we talk about the spoon-billed sandpiper. Okay, go grab your binoculars and let's get into it. All right, welcome back, everyone. We're back for another week, and this one is Shannon's pick. This is a bird we're all excited to talk about. Shannon, do you want to kick it off?
I picked spoon-billed sandpiper this week, inspired in large part because so many people seem to be enjoying the long claw meadowlark little TikTok video that we put out. But I think spoon-billed sandpiper and roseate spoonbill beaks are better convergent evolution. So that's why I picked spoon-billed sandpiper. Sandpipers in general are adorable. They're small, very hard to identify. In fact, if this thing didn't have an interesting and unique shaped beak, you probably couldn't identify it differently from other shorebirds that might be around it. So this bird is fairly small and has, just like a roseate spoonbill has that spoon-shaped beak, this little sandpiper has the same shaped beak. And it basically does the same thing with that beak. It sticks it in the mud and in the water, feeling whatever might be in the mud where it can't see. And the videos of this bird are absolutely adorable because it actually does this drilling thing with its beak to stir things up, which is hilarious. So yeah, it has a flattened beak, just like roseate spoonbill, but obviously this is a convergent evolution because spoonbills and sandpipers are not each other's closest relatives. And for a long time, this bird was in its own genus. Oh gosh, now I'm going to have to say this. Urinoryncus was the genus name it was in. But then some trees of life were done using DNA data to show that it's in Calidris, which is the big genus with lots of sandpipers in it. So it's not, even though it's really morphologically distinct, it's not genomically distinct from other sandpipers, which is also an interesting thing that you can get something like, why did that bird get that beak and not other things? I have no idea why. What happened to make that beak so unique amongst sandpipers that I don't get it. How does that happen? Will we ever know how the beak of the spoon-billed sandpiper? So it's Calidris pygmaei. However you say it, which obviously pygmy means small, so that's cute. It's tiny. Yeah. What else?
And then where are they? So they're up in like Russia? Is that where?
So sandpipers, by and large, sandpipers, the genus Calidris, for instance, are high Arctic breeders, and then they migrate south and spend the winter in other places. And this bird breeds only on the coastal tundra of northeastern Russia, basically, across from Alaska.
And its
way high
range
up
is
there.
so small, you almost have to blow up the map. Because if you just look at the map, you're like, now, where is this? You're used to things like Golden Eagle, where you see so much of the distribution. But in this case, it's just a tiny little strip because of the habitat that it prefers right along. And so this is one of the most endangered species of birds in the world. There's, 300 to 500 of them. And they're very vulnerable, especially on their migrating routes because of habitat destruction that's happening as they fly south. So they're flying into parts of Asia, into China. China has a lot of conservation efforts have been put into China to preserve some of their stopover sites on their as they migrate, which is significantly important. They also have some really interesting breeding programs where they actually take the eggs, raise the babies, and then put them back in the wild because there's so much mortality of these young sandpipers. So yeah, I'm trying to.
Yeah, I mean
What's that called when they do that?
It's unclear what's happened with respect to. Well, I mean that's not true. There definitely, as Shannon was saying, there are these features of this long migration where almost all these shorebirds tend to have what they call staging areas, which are areas they fly, say, from their nesting grounds south to a delta someplace that's become something that over thousands of years of migration they've realized is like the best place to be at that particular time to forage for and fatten up a little more to take the next step in their migration south. And they winter down in Vietnam and Bangladesh and at the mouths of these rivers, and those are areas that there's a lot of pollution potentially. The what's coming down the rivers is problematic. The way the people are deciding to develop or plant grasses and things along the mouths of the rivers are bad for them because if there aren't mud flats, they can't feed.
The introduced plants are really limiting on both their breeding and wintering grounds. So, if you really prefer a very specific habitat, and you get invasive grasses and invasive other plants in there, that already just narrow, tiny little thing becomes even smaller. So populations are thought to be declining 5% per year. So, and so the breeding program is called Head Starting. I just found my notes on that. So they take the eggs, raise them, and then put the babies back out into wild to try to improve survival.
Is that those pictures that you sent us yesterday, Shannon? Were those
they're babies. Aren't they cute?
They were so cute.
People need to look up a baby spoon-billed sandpiper. Sandpipers in general, sandpiper babies are absolutely some of the cutest little fluffy puffballs of birds with long, skinny legs. And this bird is really, the one that we show people and the one that's we have a little TikTok video on these two things too, on spoonbills and roseate spoonbills and spoon-billed sandpiper, part of this convergent series that we always talk about when we show people birds. But they, I just lost the train of my thought. So the ones that's in that video is not in breeding plumage. So it looks like a regular kind of whitish sandpiper with some gray streakies on it. But in breeding season, they have this kind of reddish rufous color on it, and it's really, really pretty in the breeding season. This is one bird. No, it's so cold there. I don't know. This is a bird I would go out of my way to see. There's not too many. I might say that about, but this bird is so adorable.
I was going to ask. So if you guys have spent some time at the shore looking at things like sanderlings and birds like that, right?
Yeah. And I thought the pictures of the chicks reminded me of like a killdeer chick a little bit. When we saw that, except for with this spoonbill, like kind of all the different colors, like in its coat and everything was really, really pretty. So
it turns out genomically it's closely related to redneck stints, and there are these bizarre records, including I think a specimen in a museum of a hybrid between those two. It has intermediate phenotypes. Of course, one way to find that out is to sample it genetically. And if you do that, you'll see parts of the genome from one of the species and parts from the other. So you get lots of variation that you find, especially if it's a first generation hybrid. So the parent, each parent is of the different species. You'll have a lot of what are called heterozygotes, so DNA sites where you get both of the parental variants in that. And so that would be a fun thing to do. We've looked at hybrids before that way to see what on earth is happening to some birds that look really weird. And you can see that they have alleles from both of the parent species in that individual. So that would be a fun project. Cool. So
and one of our students and a former postdoc, the postdoc was actually working on sandpipers, and so he borrowed tissue of spoon-billed sandpiper from the Burke Museum at the University of Washington, which is one of the things we can do from partner museums as when we're doing various projects. And he was trying to use that to do phylogenetic studies of the relationships of all the sandpipers, but we've now actually worked with folks to get a genome of spoon-billed sandpiper, which will be really valuable for some of the conservation research that they want to do down the road.
Yeah, it's really important to understand how much variability there is in a population, especially one with individuals, that few individuals. And then you can look at the historical collections and see what variation has been lost. So you get some kind of a feel for the variability, which could tell you something about how vulnerable they are to extinction. You need variability to evolve. If you don't have any variation, you got to wait for a mutation or something like that. You can't evolve without some kind of mutation happening in your genome. So, and as you get fewer and fewer variants and fewer individuals, the individuals could become significantly closely related. And then you get inbreeding, the problems that can happen with inbreeding, which, has been shown in the royal family and stuff like that, inbreeding. Not so seriously. Someone asked me in class this afternoon, what was the weirdest thing about you when you were a kid? And the first thing that came to I had a lot of weird things about me, but the first thing that came to my mind was that I used to trace hemophilia through the royal family tree, like the czars and stuff like that. Again, inbreeding, incest. There's more of those variants in that family tree. And so I used to make these little stick figures and just, yeah, so.
That's adorable, little Shannon.
No, it's really weird, actually, Amanda. That's sweet, but it is super, super strange. And in fact, this morning, everybody just stopped and looked at me.
Amanda, you're saying you never thought about doing that?
No, I know. I'm jealous. I'm very impressed. Yeah. That's so cute. Wait, so how old were you when you were doing this?
I don't know, less than 10.
Oh, significantly. That just shows how smart you are. Gosh.
No, it shows that there had to have been a tree of, a family tree in the encyclopedia. I read a lot as a kid, but we didn't have books. My parents didn't have enough money they wouldn't never have had enough money to keep me in books, given how fast I read. And so we had an encyclopedia, and the encyclopedia had a magnifying glass. And because the print was so small, the only way you could read it was the magnifying glass. And there must have been, that's the only thing I can think of, is that there must have been a tree, a family tree, and I'm in there because, as a British citizen,
yeah,
I've always been royal family trees have always been a thing for me. I know I'm so strange, but anyways, so I must have put two and two together with some biology aspect of the encyclopedia to do that. I'm certainly nobody else in the town was doing something like that, and I doubt any of my teachers would have known anything about what I was actually doing.
And now none of them are touting spoon-billed sandpiper as one of the coolest birds in the world.
That's right.
That's true. That's a big jump, though. How on earth do you get places? Well, you just become a weird adult with a cool job. That's all.
That's pretty cool, though.
Not bad at all. Yeah.
Yeah. Go from being a weird kid to a nondescript teenager, spend a lot of time playing games with their parents, to getting an undergraduate degree and not knowing how people became professors, to finally finding some course on the natural history of vertebrates of British Columbia that transformed my life. I mean, I never went bird watching before that course. I didn't even know people did that. I didn't even know that was a thing. I didn't know people had jobs. People walk around and count birds and get paid. Nobody in the small town I grew up in did anything like that. So, I ended up getting a job in a museum from that class, and that's where my mental illness became a strength, my obsessive tidiness and orderliness and all of that became a thing that was valuable. All of a sudden I had a skill that was useful instead of just something that made people think I was even weirder than I already was. And I was already pretty strange. So, and now look at us.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're in the right place, Shannon.
Yeah.
You never know. I always tell kids not to listen to their parents. No offense, parents, but that they should listen to their gut. Because parents are conservative, especially when it comes to their kid. You want your kid to have a good job and make enough money to have a house and a family and all of that. But
your gut just
when
has
you're 20 years old, you're brave. What was that,
Your
John?
gut just has digested food in it.
No, my gut made me do something really bizarre. I got in a car by myself and drove across the country to go to graduate school. A few months after I even learned about graduate school, I didn't know how people became professors. I had no idea. I didn't say a single thing to a professor as an undergraduate except hello. I didn't know people did that. I didn't know anything about research. I didn't know why we called people doctors. I had no idea. And then before long, when you're young, you take a chance on yourself. And you just don't know. You have enough time to course correct when you're 20. And I'm not saying take a chance like skydiving, but you should take a chance on whatever career you're going to do or whatever you want to study.
What if you're skydiving over the Kamchatka Peninsula?
There we go.
To see some spoon-billed sandpipers.
There's some neat things about that, right?
Okay, well, that's an okay risk to take.
Given everything that's going on politically in the world, it's amazing to me that there's this international group of researchers that are working on these spoon-billed sandpipers in Russia.
Yeah.
During the breeding season.
People like us want to save the world in our own weird way, right? We all want to make the world a better place.
And their range includes like Myanmar, right? Some contentious areas.
They go to some pretty like North Korea. I mean,
I was wondering about that. North Korea is on their migration route.
I mean, think about the conservation efforts to protect habitat along those migratory routes through all of those conflict-ridden areas. People are going in there to convince people on the ground to leave certain areas alone, not plant certain things. People are remarkable and brave in unique and interesting ways. You're not going to get anywhere if you're afraid.
Well, with a bird like this, you've the only chance it has is a lot of intervention and help, and the multinational aspect of that was thinking about it, like you said, Amanda. Myanmar, Bangladesh. I mean, it's just like the list of countries that these birds travel through every year.
That reminds me. I'm just thinking. We've been watching this CIA ops show. Have you guys ever been in a situation where people thought you were a spy or anything?
I've been I remember training for this volunteer program I was in high school called Amigos de las Americas, where I ended up in a vaccination program in Esmeraldas, Ecuador, working for a month, which was just incredible. I learned to speak Spanish and vaccinated a couple kids, but they would have periods of time where they would say, you might be asked if you were working for the federal government,
CIA.
for the U.S. government. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
And
my gosh.
I don't think that ever happened, actually.
Okay. No one
and
asked.
at the same time, there are plenty of stories of ornithologists being spies at the same time in various
Oh,
periods, like World War II and stuff.
wow.
Oh, wow.
We certainly get
That's
a lot of
cool.
quizzical looks at doing what we do. People who are standing on the side of the road for long periods of time with binoculars out over a field. That used to happen in Louisiana a lot. You're just like, what are you doing looking at my rice field?
I get
But I don't think
self-conscious
they
in
ever
our
thought we were
neighbor's yard.
spies. Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't done this in a long time, but I used to like to go for walks with John at dusk before people closed their blinds so that we could look inside their houses and see how they were decorated. And he hated it. He's like, we're going to get
I love that
arrested.
too. I love that too.
Amanda does that all the time where we'll walk around and she'll see something and we're like standing on someone's front lawn and they're having dinner and I'm like, let's get out of here. Amanda's way more bold than I am. But we had this couple in our neighborhood that we had never met that like approached us because they thought we were like casing a house. Like they were like, where do you guys live? We haven't seen you here before. And we were like, we saw a bird up there. And they're like, what kind of bird?
Yeah, I worry a little bit about taking my binoculars out and too much and looking around for things.
Well, I mean, I'd never seen a posted sign before I moved to Louisiana. I didn't even know what it meant until I was informed by the first Louisianian whose land I had gone on, because I didn't know what posted meant, who informed me what posted meant. And I think I should have been more scared than I was because I'd never seen a gun before moving to Louisiana. Anyways, this person had a gun, let's just say, which is not uncommon in Louisiana.
Yeah.
But so now I know what posted means.
Wait, can you explain? I'm not sure if I fully
it means no trespassing. So
okay.
When there's signs that say posted, I don't know why they don't explicate what posted means. I might not have gone on the land if it had said something other than posted, but I had no clue what posted meant. What the heck why is there a sign? What does posted mean?
You shouldn't be out on the road in the country if you can't understand the word posted, I think. I'm sure there's more than one story of people who did not understand that word that did not end well.
Yeah. Spoonbill sandpipers have a lot of site fidelity. Did you know that, John? 66% of them are going back to that place where they were born.
Oh,
well,
wow.
so that's an interesting thing because obviously, so here in Chicago, there's this incredible following of now several generations of piping plovers nesting at Montrose. And one of the things I found fascinating that they knew about the first pair, Monty and Rose, that nested there was they came back several years in a row to breed at Montrose. But in the winter, they went to two different places to spend the winter. And so what I'm wondering is, do spoonbill sandpipers do that, where they come back to the same breeding ground, but they're not together on the wintering grounds?
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Yeah, they have a really broad distribution in their wintering grounds for as few individuals as there are.
So here's another thing they'll make the Chicago birdies happy. I started wondering, what's the probability that spoonbilled sandpiper could ever show up at Montrose?
I was fascinated by this. There are vagrants records.
Really?
In Alaska in 1977, 1986, 1989, and 1993. And in British Columbia in 1978. Hey, I was a kid there. I didn't.
So
Obviously, I knew
cool.
nothing about them,
You
but
could have seen one, Shannon.
I
Yeah.
know.
Maybe you
of course
did and
I
you didn't remember. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think they were in Trail, the tiny town that I grew up in.
Okay.
But
She was
But
busy
yeah, so-
tracing ancestry and
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's doing hemophilia research.
Yeah.
I don't think
Get outta
there was
here.
a picture of there was not a picture of them in the encyclopedia. That's for sure.
Okay.
I mean, but that magnifying glass was a significant part of my becoming a biologist, even before I knew what a biologist was, because I took it outside and I looked at everything with it.
Cool.
And then after my brother and I burned ants, which is something that psychopathic little kids do, right? And then I started looking at the rest of life on Earth through this magnifying glass, and I realized that the things we called spiders weren't all the same thing. So then I had to have one of everything. And I kept them in my mom's jewelry box. Little, costume jewelry comes in these little pretty boxes. Well, I kept spiders in those boxes in my bedroom when I was growing up.
Oh, wow.
And I vividly remember trying to feed them ham. I didn't know what to get. I didn't know what a spider ate, right? And there were no books. Where was I going to look this up? There's no internet to tell me how on earth you keep spiders. I told you I was a strange kid.
Wait, did any of them attempt to eat the ham?
They did not survive very long.
I was just saying, did they
Beside
survive? Yeah.
No.
they curled up
didn't
in a
have
little
water.
ball in the corner. And
Yeah.
Oh.
But I sometimes wonder if my mom didn't empty them out when I was at school or sleeping or something, because this was not high on her list of things for her daughter to be doing, is to keep spiders in her bedroom. My mom is deathly afraid of birds, really, really, really afraid of live birds. And even dead ones. She didn't like the dead ones in the museum all that much either. So she views this as my form of rebellion, that my career is my form of rebellion. But
see, what I'm envisioning is one of those spiders actually spinning a web and in the middle of it saying, "Bring flies."
yeah, I didn't put that together, I don't think.
You didn't
No
use your
ham.
magnifying glass. No ham. Yeah, there we go.
No ham.
No vertebrates. Vertebrates not allowed. Did you do anything? Am I the weirdest one? Well, probably. But what did you guys do when you were kids that's weird?
Oh, I don't want to talk about it. RJ, did you do anything?
I can't
That's
think of
okay
any.
to talk about?
Not that I could think of off the top of my head. No. I did
John,
have.
what
I
did
did
you
have.
do?
Yeah, John.
I didn't do anything weird.
And what happened? When did the weirdness start?
Yeah, right. That's like
Not a
crept up
childhood
on you.
endeavor? So, RJ, what did you do that was interesting when you were a
No,
kid?
it wasn't a kid thing. It was actually a spoon-billed sandpiper anecdote I wanted to bring up.
Oh.
Because I think so. The first time we met John, I remember we got there and John, I think the very first thing you did pulled out a roseate spoonbill, and this is when Amanda and I were like, brand new to anything bird related. And John was like, "Does anyone know what this is?" And I remember being like, "Oh, this is going to be easy. I actually know this one, roseate spoonbill." And I think Amanda was like, "Roseate spoonbill." And I was like, yes, I was so proud of Amanda. And then John pulled out the spoonbilled sandpiper and was like, "Does anyone know what this is?" And I remember being like,
Yeah.
"Oh no." And then I didn't know a single bird the rest of the
No. Same here. Same
Started
Well,
on a
you
high
at least
note.
got to feel virtuous for a short period of time.
1 second.
yeah.
Well, John and I failed a whole bunch of bird quizzes today because there's this bird site you can look at and it shows you pictures. You can figure out what family it's in. And I didn't get any of them right.
Are you serious?
I- well-
didn't do well on that?
No, I failed because the taxonomy is all messed up now compared to what I.
No,
it
it's because there's a lot of convergence out there in the world, too.
Okay.
I mean, so if you just show a random picture that could come from anywhere in the world, and you have to guess what it is, if you get off on the wrong foot in terms of thinking about where you're thinking about, you can be really wrong given some of the ways in which various birds in various parts of the world resemble each other.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of things called flycatchers, right? Well, they're not each other's closest relatives.
Mm.
So there's a bunch of things with the name Wren in their name. They're not all each other's closest relatives. So,
Gosh,
but they
I
do
don't-
often share physical similarities that make people apply those names to them.
Okay.
But I feel like there
Me
are
justifying
plenty of
my
times
failure.
where I've given tours where I pull out that Roseate Spoonbill, and I don't know
Yeah.
whether
People think it's an ibis.
people don't know what it is.
Oh,
Mm.
oh,
Yeah, a
look
lot
at
of
us,
people
Amanda.
think it's an
Puffing us
ibis.
up.
There
Yeah.
you go. I'm just like, this is you guys are ahead of the game.
Oh, thanks. That was our
And
one
now
shining moment, RJ.
and now when we go again,
Yes.
when the spoon-billed sandpiper comes out, you're gonna go, that's a spoon-billed sandpiper.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And everyone that's
No,
listening
no.
is going to know what it is too.
That's exactly right.
More people will know what it is.
Yeah.
Thanks to Shannon
Mhm.
picking it out for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
What are we picking next?
Oh, yeah. Who's up next? I think Amanda, you're up next.
Yeah. I don't know yet. I have to think about it.
Okay.
I know what I'm picking next.
you wanna
Outside
say
of
it?
Flycatcher.
I'm
I'm
not
outside of Flycatcher.
We can't
Part
do outside of
two.
Flycatcher again.
Trust
As much
me.
as you want, Shannon. Yeah. As much
Trust
as you
me,
want to.
that is not whatever is going to go through my mind to do ever again.
We won't have to. It's already been done.
Yeah.
Nope. I know what I want next.
What is it? Are you
Want me
going
to
to tell
tell
us?
you?
Yeah, I want to know.
I want to talk about varied thrush.
Oh,
Ooh, okay.
cool.
Cool.
So
Very cool.
I'm going to go home and talk about varied thrushes. Not to Russia, not to Myanmar, but I'm going to British Columbia. I'm going west, talk about
Cool.
varied thrushes.
Awesome. Very
Well, I
cool.
think we're running out of time here. Was there anything else on the spoon-billed sandpiper we wanted to touch on before we wrap it up?
No, I encourage people to go online and take a look at it. It's a really, as Shannon was saying, it's an incredibly cute little bird and got an incredible migration, and it's a big conservation challenge for people. And I hope there'll be spoon-billed sandpipers around hundreds of years from now.
Yes.
So for me, it's form follows function. So you get birds that do similar things often have similar features that they do that with. So, and they get there through different means. So you unrelatedly have spoon-billed sandpipers having the same kind of beak as a roseate spoonbill, and they do the same thing with their beaks. So convergence is pretty magical.
Awesome.
Right. I'm going to stop.